Okay, hi guys, welcome back to X's and O's. I'm your host, Shannon Beveridge, and I cannot believe the guests today. I truly am like beside myself. It's crazy, crazy, crazy. I'm so happy. I'm so lucky. I'm so blessed. I love this podcast so much. It's like truly like changing my life in all the best ways, and I am like beyond grateful. So happy. And just a couple of things to tell you. My Friend of Dorothy merch is all live right now. You can go and check it out. The link is in the bio below, or nowthisisliving.shop. And there are sweatshirts, t-shirts, shorts, carabiners, hats, like everything you can imagine is on there. So go check it out. And yeah, I'm stoked to have like Pride merch that's not rainbow affiliated, but we love a rainbow. We love a rainbow. Thank you for all the rainbow has done for the queer people. Thank you so much. But every once in a while, you don't want to wear a rainbow. Am I right? So check out my merch. It's all there in the link in the bio. Also, huge shout out to TomboyX for sponsoring this episode. It is only fitting that they would, since they were also the first ever sponsor of X's and O's podcast, which is awesome. And I'm so grateful to them. And it only makes sense that they should be the first Pride sponsor this month because they are a queer-owned company. And we love that. Love to see it. And you guys can check out the link in the bio for their products as well. And okay, mental health check. I'm just so happy that it really is not interesting right this second. But yeah, I'm so stoked, and I'm so stoked for Pride. I hope you're so happy that it's Pride, and also it like feels like summer, which is amazing. Like it's getting warmer. I love to be outside. I'm so happy. This is just like a whole 4-minute intro of me being like, I'm so happy, but I am so happy. And last but not least, the Patreon content for this week is going to be a live stream instead of extra bonus content. It's going to be a live stream, and the live stream will be at 5 p.m. PST, 8 p.m. EST. So when you're watching this, if you're watching it the day it came out, you can go to Patreon, and there's a special guest. There will be a special guest on my Patreon live stream. She's here with me right now. Drum roll, please. I only have one hand because I don't have mic stands, and I should have them. I always get yelled at for it. But anyway, the one, the only, Debbie Beveridge.
Ta-da! Hi, everybody. I hope everybody has a happy Pride and you have lots of fun out there, and hope to see some people out and about. That'd be fun.
What's your shirt say?
And yes, so if anybody needs a free mom hug, just come look me up.
So we will be live tomorrow answering questions, hanging out, having a good time, probably for about an hour. So if you're watching this, please come and hang out with us. The link is in the bio below. It's also just patreon.com/nowthisisliving. Okay, let's get right into the episode because I'm so stoked about it. Okay, happy Pride.
Happy Pride.
Woo! Okay, hi guys, welcome back to X's and O's, a podcast where we talk about queer relationships and sex. I'm so fucking excited for the guests today. I actually can't fucking believe it. I cannot. I'm a little nervous, so hopefully it doesn't come off that way. But we have Raven and Miranda.
Hello.
Gorgeous couple.
Thanks for inviting us in your bed.
Oh my God, thanks for
actually
I
cozy
can't
in your
believe
bed.
it. Like really, when I started this podcast, I did not think Raven Symoné would be in my bed. Like that's crazy. That is crazy.
Don't say that again.
I'm like, well, at least all three of us are in the bed.
Yes,
no, it's okay.
together, obviously. And honestly, we have Miranda to thank for this because, well, we have Michaela to thank for this. She does my hair.
Let's give a shout out to Michaela.
Yeah.
Shout out to Michaela. We love you,
it.
Michaela.
Shout out Michaela Curry. She does both of our hair. Not that I ever let anyone see mine, but it is lovely under here. If I ever show it, it's great. And that's all thanks to Michaela. You weren't Michaela's doula, were you?
Not technically, but I definitely helped her. Yeah. And I think she didn't have a doula other than me, but I definitely was present and had conversations with her and participated in the birth of her baby as much as I could over the phone. Oh my God, he's
the cutest baby. His hair is so cute and curly. He's getting so cute.
Golden angel.
How did you become a doula? Not to just jump right into it, but
no, we can jump right in.
Okay, guys, I'm so excited to tell you that the first Pride sponsor we have this month is TomboyX. If you've been watching the show for a while, you know that TomboyX has been supporting X's and O's for a long time, since the very first episode. So I'm so excited to have them for the very first Pride episode. It's very fitting because they are a queer-owned company. If you're not familiar with TomboyX, they create sustainable, size and gender-inclusive underwear, swimwear, and loungewear. I'm obsessed with them. I wear it all the time. But in honor of Pride, we decided instead of me telling you how much I love the products, I'm going to read some of y'all's reviews of the products you've bought yourself. I'm going to read them. So if you're watching, I'm reading because I don't have this all memorized, okay? I may look smart. I actually don't know if I look smart, but I'm going to read them. The first one, 5 stars, obviously. Your butt wants these. TomboyX hipsters are the best undies ever. I love the fun prints, the feel, and the fit. That's from Junie in Long Beach, California. Thanks, Junie. We are so happy that you love them. I love them too. Another 5-star review, stayers. They don't bunch, creep, or crawl. They're the only things I want in my underwear drawer. That's from Joyful. Joyful, I agree with you. And last one, 5 stars, keeps the doggies in check. I personally like this one a lot. Very comfy. I hate bras and I keep looking for tolerable ways to lift my low-hanging boobs to where they used to be without being aware of their confinement. This is the least annoying one I've found. Plus, it gives good sweat absorption. Okay, Sue. If you haven't already gotten your hands on some of TomboyX's products, you can go to tomboyx.com and use the code Shannon at checkout for 20% off everything. And during Pride Month, they're giving 21% off. So don't wait. Go now.
So I was always really drawn to women and maternal health and babies from the time I was a little girl. I remember just like begging my mom to have a baby because I wanted to play with it. And I was volunteering at my little like nursery school as a 7-year-old. So I kind of had a natural instinct and draw towards that world. As I got older, that maintained. It obviously shifted a little bit, but actually when Raven and I moved to New York in 2016, there was a birth center called Carriage House Birth, and Domino Kirk, who is a big time doula, she's also married to Penn Badgley, for anyone who doesn't know who she is. She had this great birth center, and I was like, these women are badass. They're all like tattooed and like me. They're all like tattooed.
She's really tatted. If you really go through it, she's really tatted.
But they just seemed like this group of emotionally intelligent, interesting women who were obviously supporting women and ushering life in. And I was really like, I want to do this. Didn't end up happening then, but a few years later, after we moved back to LA, I did finally decide that I was going to pursue this. And I am a person who is kind of particular. I've had a hard time with school. If there's anything that kind of like bumps me, meaning like, okay, you can go, but it's an hour drive, or you have going to have a really hard time parking, I step away from it. When I went to go
relate to that.
Yeah, right?
Deeply. I'm like, I'm going to stay home, I think.
Yeah, I'd rather
especially
not.
with my car, I'm like, if I can't park, I got to stay.
Yeah.
Or I'll Uber.
And I don't want to Uber. Like,
yeah, no. Anyway, not to distract you.
No. But when I started researching doula training, everything was so easy. It was like, okay, a training starts in 3 weeks, which I love because I have 3 weeks then to like mentally prepare, as opposed to like training starts tomorrow. I'd be like, oh my God, training starts in 3 weeks. It's 15 minutes from your house. I looked up and it's like, there's meter parking right out front. It's this small, it was like absolutely perfect. And it couldn't have been a more wonderful experience for me. And that was it. I just like fell into it, took my training, started working, and then the pandemic hit, and then everything kind of shifted. But
it's like meant to be, kind of.
It was meant to be. I haven't returned to that work because Raven and I are so busy in what we're doing. And obviously doula work is so consuming.
Yeah.
I don't know that it's something I'm going to actively be doing anytime soon. I think I would do it.
I think if you've had the right person, if somebody came to you that you could not resist, like if her sister or a family member, me or somebody.
Yeah. I was going to say, that's going to be
your doula.
I mean, that will be so like helpful if you guys do have kids, right? To have that experience.
Sure. Yeah.
I can't even imagine. Childbirth is really scary to me.
Really she made it scary for me. I wasn't scared until I met her and she told me all the things.
Oh, good.
I was like, oh, this is scares. But
also beautiful.
But also not as scary when you're actually in it, because like she says, and I think that's what makes her a fantastic doula, it's like, you're a female, your body's made for it. You're gonna be fine.
Yeah,
totally.
It makes me sad that you say that I scared you, because that would never.
I saw those pictures, babes. I saw all the pictures.
Just the photos and things. Okay, because my belief is that the fear culture that has been developed around birth is actually not something that I would ever want to like support or like continue in that narrative, because I think that it makes sense that people are fearful, but I think that at the same time a lot of the fear is based from misinformation or just the idea of it being an unknown thing. But again, like I do often say, women's bodies are made to birth, and I believe with the right support and education. And you know what, honestly, sometimes like you don't even, it's about connecting to yourself, because it's not about anyone outside of you giving you some key to how to birth. It's like, I believe every woman has the ability and everything she needs within herself to do it. So
there has to be something innately wired in us, obviously, but also I'm sure big pharma's like doing something there, right?
Yeah.
They're trying to scare us.
100%.
And they're successful.
And they've medicalized it.
Yeah.
You know?
But at least now women are like surviving childbirth, and women are living longer than men. Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
There it is.
Yep.
Silver lining.
Silver lining of Western medicine.
Exactly.
Okay.
But I will
give
say
it that.
there's huge disparity between white women surviving birth versus women of color surviving birth, and that is something that needs attention and conversation.
So crazy. I remember when I learned that fact and I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Like
That's
here
insane.
in this country, like it's really horrible.
It's really crazy. Okay.
Upsetting.
That also leads me to, I was watching some of y'all's interviews you've done before, and I watched something where you said you guys got together quickly, right? And then you were together.
We got married quickly.
Well, you were together for like 6 months and broke up.
Yes.
At the beginning, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
We were together longer than 6 months.
Let her have it. Let her have
like
it.
about a year.
Okay. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, longer. But then Raven, you said a part of why you guys broke up is because you're white.
Yeah.
Would you like expand on that?
Would you like for me to expand on that? Okay. Yeah. Sure. In my culture, there's history.
Definitely history.
And as that history grows into the now, it's not outwardly chastising of you're with a white person anymore. It's a quiet well, it's a quiet undertone in conversation of a disgust type of thing, because it's not outward as much as it used to be for very good reason.
Yeah.
And so when we were together, the undercurrent that I was feeling when we would go out, I'd be like, can't hold hands right now. Or, you know, I felt people looking at me and judging me in that way.
Totally.
And so that's one of the things I didn't express to her, because I felt as if that was me being racist.
Weird. Interesting.
Like, why should I care about the color of your skin?
Yeah. Is it also like internalized some of that too? Like thinking that people were thinking those things? Like,
No, black people were thinking that.
You're like, no, it was real.
Because it came out.
True.
It came out.
100%. I'm sure. It's also like, I don't know. That's such a unique position for both of you to be in, because it's like you can't change it, and you also can't change culture. So it's like, what does that do for your relationship? And obviously you decided to break up.
And I think I cared more because there was something about her that I knew was going to be different subconsciously, because I had dated a white man before. I dated all colored people. And she was the only one where I was like, this is going to be dangerous.
And it wasn't just my skin, right? It was also the fact that I asked a lot of questions, and I was very emotionally like you
were too white.
Yeah.
Too white. Not just the color of the skin.
Just like
the culture.
Too white in terms of the culture too. Yeah, just the questioning and whatnot. It was sad to me though when I found that out, because I had no clue that she was struggling with any of that. But I will say that I understand now why there was hesitation. And I think maybe not even so much just because, like, yes, I was white, obviously I still am, but also, yeah, but also I feel like
you pink.
I'm kind of pink.
You pink.
But was there also an element too where it's like you had reservation about going public with a person too? Like, would you have been more reserved about anyone in the public eye with your relationship?
Oh yeah, I wasn't trying to. I mean, that was everyone. No one I dated back then got to see the light of day except for one of my girlfriends, because she was on Empire, and we went out a couple of times and had parties and stuff like that. But I always knew in my system, whoever I got married to would be the person that the
world would
know. You know, not really dating because
Hey world.
not really dating because in my growing up in my education, it's like dating is fickle. You don't know what's going to happen. Marriage is forever. And so you got to, you know, be very deliberate in what you choose to put out into the world.
Totally.
And even nowadays, marriage is still fickle because, you know, back and forth, back and forth. So I already knew that whoever I chose was going to be that way. And there were a lot of feelings behind why I broke up, but that was a really big one for me, to be honest with you. And the cherry on top was you asking too many questions.
Understood.
Yeah.
The cherry on top.
And it makes sense because I will say that
The condensed milk on top.
the condensed of the shaved ice.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Condensed milk is very well. I guess I'm not really red. Anyhow, and pink sprinkles. The coming out in terms of like our relationship publicly after being married, it was quite interesting to me to receive the level of backlash, hate, criticism because we're an interracial couple. I was really shocked by it, and clearly Raven was already
more
aware
prepared that was going to happen. Yeah.
You could have given me a heads up.
But you're so sensitive, baby. I just know
At least
what to do.
You would have said, you're going to get a lot of hate, Miranda. Get ready. And I would be like, okay, hate knee pads on, hate vest on. Let's go.
Maybe it was like wishful thinking that it wouldn't happen.
Right.
Maybe. But obviously.
Nah, the world's got to go through its thing.
So you've never been public with another couple, like with another relationship other than kind of the other person you're saying?
Correct.
That's crazy because you guys really went 0 to 100. To go from like not telling people about your relationship at all to having a podcast together and sitting down often and exposing your relationship and the inner dynamics of your relationship. How are you guys doing? As someone who has done that, and I've like had a channel with an ex-girlfriend of mine, so we were like very much, people were seeing our dynamic often, and then you open yourself up to scrutiny also. And also shipping, there's like both sides, right? There's like the love you get and the hate you get. So how are you?
We're doing fine. So it's interesting because I still do not project our relationship through the camera, no matter how much people think they're seeing our relationship.
Totally.
Same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, yes, we are here. We're telling stories about our life, but you guys don't know our relationship.
There's still a filter. Always. There has to be, yeah. But also I'm sure you've had years and years and years to like desensitize yourself also just to feedback in general. Whereas this is probably a newer experience for you, newer as in just within your relationship of like getting a lot of feedback in general, especially from strangers. It's a very unique.
Is it feedback when it's from a stranger, or is it just judgment?
I mean, no, it's mostly judgment.
Just hate.
It's a lot of hate. I mean, I like to
criticism.
think of some of it as feedback, especially as a queer person. I know that I'll say something wrong sometimes, or like I can make a mistake for sure. And I want feedback. I want to be told like, hey, when you say this next time, like this is more inclusive or whatever, right?
Oh,
to me,
okay.
that's
Yeah.
feedback.
Oh, okay.
There's definitely hate, which is just bullshit. And then there's like, but there's layers of it, right?
Yeah.
But when you've never had it, I can't even imagine your experience, and I can't like together the juxtaposition of the two of you. It's like night and day. Like you have complete different experiences because you've been in the public eye. Do you even remember not being famous?
I started being famous at 16 months old.
Yeah. So like, you know nothing else. And you also knew nothing else before. So that has to be like an interesting thing to traverse together. I've had to have experiences with people I've dated who weren't necessarily as public as me. Also, I'm like, you know, an influencer, YouTuber, content creator. Like the level of that attention is different too than like paparazzi don't follow me, you know, I never have.
But
So
you got a lot of people that follow you.
yeah, no, I definitely have experiences that are similar, but like yours is just like astronomical. And then to go into that, and then to go into it so like, I don't know, I think it's really admirable that you guys are able to sit down and still do your podcast and talk, and like you're brave enough to join that.
Well, I think honestly, if I was just a completely like green person to the industry.
Yeah, because you've been around.
Yeah. So it's like my upbringing, part of why Raven and I can connect in this way is because I too have had a unique experience in the industry. Mm-hmm. So my father worked a big title job. I grew up on sets, on studio lots, around very famous people, around very powerful industry players. And I felt very comfortable in those situations. Growing up in Los Angeles, it's also kind of normal. Like I literally remember being 11 years old at Jerry's Famous Deli and Britney Spears was sitting across from me, and it was like normal. Like no one was like freaking out. It was like we just finished eating our matzo ball soup and went on with our day.
Pause. Jerry's Deli is a place that no one will ever be able to experience again because they're all closed. One of the best delis in Los Angeles. Rest in peace.
Yeah, it was really great. But rip Jerry's Deli. I have so many memories there. But anyhow, point being is that it didn't feel super overwhelming. And I think that part of me has always been prepared or wanted the attention that comes from being in front of a camera.
Fair.
I can be behind a camera and I can be in front of a camera. And so I think that it has been an adjustment, and there are certain things, because I think that what Raven was saying earlier, my initial approach to like what I wanted to do in front of the camera was be really vulnerable and really open and have these honest conversations about things that I felt people wanted to talk about or wanted to hear about. And not that I had some like unbelievably unique or brilliant take or anything, but it's just like, let's have these conversations. More people need to have these conversations, and especially around the things that we are finding taboo. But what I understood, or I've now come to understand, is that people in celebrity world don't actually want that fan wise. They say they do. They say they want to see who this celebrity is, you know, behind the curtain. But then once that celebrity shows you who you are, they just are ready to rip you down. They want you to be the character they think you are. They want you to be the brand they think that they've fallen in love with you for. And if you tear that veil down, they become really angry. So now what it's become is more like having to juggle the celebrity lane that Raven has, then having to kind of align my desire and my narrative into that.
Yeah, totally.
So that's the balance. But the hate and the comments and things of that nature, like it did get overwhelming recently, and we don't even have to go into that. And we had to kind of like nip it in the bud. But prior to that, it's just like it comes with the territory, and I was fully prepared for that.
Totally. I mean, I will just say, I think it's one thing to witness that your whole life and another thing to then start to like receive it. So
For sure.
I'm just saying, like, I hope you give yourself grace, because that's like a huge switch from just being like, yeah, I know people get a lot of I know people get a lot of hate, but then to get it yourself is a very overwhelming experience. Like
she's a fast learner. She actually, in the scheme of my life and our relationship together, she learned it pretty fast. And the feedback that we're getting from our own people and our own team, I think, has also helped steered her thought process.
Totally.
And where it goes. And, you know, there's no better way to learn than
Boots on the ground.
Boots on the ground type of
totally.
thing.
Yeah. Also, the online of it all is like such a unique experience, because you can log off, like you can turn it off. And when I think people don't realize that, like in like our day to day, the internet is as powerful as we let it be, you know,
Yeah.
as much as we decide to look at it, that's how real it is or isn't. Because when we're walking around, hanging out with the people we hang out with, talking to the people we talk to, that is like just like a little snippet of it, right?
Totally.
So, but that's a skill you have to learn also, because I have watched people let it like consume them, right? Like when something goes bad, when something is happening, to not be able to look away from it. And I'm guilty of it too sometimes, when something happens and I'm like, oh my God, checking the comments every 5 seconds. Like even my episode with JoJo Siwa that came out today, because it's Wednesday right now, it's been hard for me to like look away and not want to like also engage.
Yeah.
There's a big part of you that wants to stick up. Like I want to stick up for JoJo. I want to stick up for myself. But then you're like, okay, what in this is actually worth talking to, and what is just people wanting a reaction out of you? And knowing what is right is first of all, it's impossible, because it's case by case, and there is no rule book to the internet. Like every scandal, everything is like a new learning experience for all of us, and we all have to watch. And not everyone's even paying that much attention, but like you're literally watching people rise and fall and rise and fall. And also this whole idea of cancel culture in general. I'm like, who is actually canceled? Who is actually canceled? Harvey Weinstein's getting out of jail. Like who? Even the most cancelable.
He's getting a retrial.
But do you know what I mean?
It's not possible to cancel anyone, because if you actually canceled someone, then you would
there's one person who real canceled.
That you could put them in a hole in the bottom of the earth and never see them again. That's what people are expecting to happen when you cancel someone.
And that doesn't happen.
It doesn't happen.
No. Do you want to talk about what happened to y'all and your TikTok? The experience of that?
Yeah, I mean, we totally can, and sure.
Yeah.
I think that experience for me, again, it was interesting. Okay, because for me, like you were just saying, people will just comment to comment sometimes. And I think that it's literally like, I'm looking right now at your door, right? And I could just be like, that's a door. That's what a person sometimes I think will look that surface level at people talking and then just want to say something, you know, or they'll hear a snippet and they'll be like, Miranda is the most stupid person ever, but you've just heard a snippet, you don't really know me. And there is part of my head that understands how to just take that and know it, because the people in my life who know me, they don't think that of me. What changed about this specific scenario was, I think that the people who started talking on it had platforms and most haters don't. And they're like user 15589 whatever, and then they go on with their life. And when things end up going viral and then the conversation grows and grows, it can be a little bit messy. What I was experiencing really kind of developed, though, into this thing where I was getting threats and being bombarded, and it wasn't stopping. And I think that that changed for me, and it did affect me. It did actually like start, I hate to admit that, but it like really started bumming me out. And I think mostly because I couldn't rationalize it in my mind. I think for me, I'm the type of person who likes fairness and justice. And if it was a situation where I had said something that was really kind of terrible that I then had to like publicly apologize for, I would have understood it. I would have been like, you know what? Those people found my Twitter from when I was 15 and I was saying stupid shit and now it's exposed. And you know what? I was saying really stupid shit and I'm sorry. I have like grown since. But honestly, what I said was that I didn't grow up watching my wife on television, but have since seen all of it. And I love it. Yeah. Like it just wasn't adding up in my mind. So the frustration and the anger and the need that I felt to kind of like, you know, defend myself was overwhelming for a minute. And it just kind of sucked. It just sucked.
It totally sucks. I think it also is a testament to TikTok and the power of TikTok, because I think a lot of things get taken out of context on TikTok. It's really easy to react to one, especially like, and we're all using TikTok, even like podcasters, right, to try to promote the podcast. And you're like, so you're taking an hour-long conversation, trying to find the best 30 seconds to a minute. And of course, it's really easy to take that out of context. And people don't go and watch. They see what they see, and then they're just like, yeah, I always knew she sucked, you know? And it's tough because you're like, you can know that that's true. And it's still really, really hard to like compartmentalize that and not want to defend yourself. Yeah. But do you regret doing it? Like, do you regret standing up for yourself? Do you stand by it? Do you think it was the right decision?
I stand by it. I totally stand by it. Yeah. I think that like, you know, a lot of people started criticizing Raven and saying that like if we were a real couple or blah, 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 she'd step up and she would defend me and, you know, that I'm all of these crazy things. So I felt like it was the right move at that time. And
I felt pressure to say something because of that. Because if I was the main person going through what she was going through, I would have turned off the internet and gone on a vacation with the money that I gain all the time. You know what I mean?
All the time.
That I'm constantly stacking. And I would have just been like, bye. But when she kept showing it to me and I saw how it was, you know, bumming her out and they were saying that to me, we really did have to sit down. I'm like, I will say something. If that's what we need to do. I will say something if that's what we need to do. I didn't just say, hey, we're doing this because...
No, we thought about it.
We thought about it because
I'm
clearly
not impulsive.
No. It's not impulsive. But I'm not defending my wife because you hit her or you did something. You know what I mean? I'm defending people. I'm defending my wife against letters in a comment section. Do you know what I mean? Which just makes me go, ew. Like... stupid.
The stupidity of it all is nauseating, but I think it truly is. But I think that like one of the things that we talked about was the climate has changed so much. Like we're not the first couple to have to do this. There were other people in relationships, like Simone Biles literally had to come forward and say, leave my husband alone, who I was being compared to. And I had to go figure out what the hell people were talking about. But like, you know, annoying. People are publicly having to do that. And again, it's just a result of, I think, what has happened in social media. So it's a bit of a reflection there. And we talked about that. And go ahead.
The other thing that irritated me was there were people with blue checks interjecting themselves into the conversation. And I grew up in an industry where respect comes to those who have come before you. So even though, you know, when I grew up in that time period, it was a mess anyway, but we're not going to get into that. Like the time period of the industry that I grew up in, it was that person has been in the industry longer than you, so bow. No matter how toxic, gross, cool, awesome they are. And so when I'm seeing blue checks and checking their receipts, I am so senior to them in the sense of time in this industry that's also disturbing. Comments, you know, one of the things I said to my wife at the very beginning of it, I said, sweetheart, a little hate brings celeb, honey. You're not famous until somebody hates you. So, you know what I mean? Get them haters up. But then it got out of control.
Also, I think for me too, where I was like, oh, this is really growing, is like people were like calling to check in on me. People that I hadn't like talked to in a while. We would go to certain events and people were like, are you okay? Raven went to an influencer event and she came back and she was like, basically everyone was like asking me about it. And I was just kind of like, okay, this is really
out of control.
Growing. And what do we like either? And we kind of said, we'll wait and see, but
it just felt like it was still like snowballing.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Really genuinely did. And
then we fixed it and then they turned it into a meme.
Yeah. Then it was like Raven is scolding us. We feel like we're in school. Which, you know what? Here's the deal. I knew we were still going to get criticism for it.
Yeah.
I don't expect everyone to like me. I've never lived in that mindset where it's like, oh, I'm going to be everyone's favorite person. And if I'm not, like, then boo-hoo. No, people are not going to like me. I'm not going to sit well with some people. That is how the world works. That's everyone's right to like or dislike who they choose. But I think, again, with this specific scenario, it was so outlandish to me and so just confusing and also so frustrating because I think that it became so apparent because the people who are really pushing this narrative clearly don't understand celebrity or this world. And I think that was the thing too. Like the expectation that Raven would marry a fan is kind of bizarre. And then the expectation that I would have to like be the encyclopedia of Raven Simone's career, like that a person wouldn't even pause to think, oh, you know what? They're a married couple. They're a married couple. They probably like have had conversations that I don't know about. Like maybe like you don't know her.
No, well, we didn't have them on the internet, so therefore it never happened.
Yeah, of course.
But
you know what I mean?
It's just ridiculous.
I said this to JoJo too, but like some people don't want to understand you. They're dedicated to misunderstanding you and you're going to get that. And also it was working. That's the crazy thing about TikTok and watching things like play out. Like when people were talking about you, those videos were going viral. When people were making memes about you looking into the camera, that was going viral. Like there's not really, some of the stuff that people do and the motives that they do them are, they don't actually care about you. And they don't actually care about Raven. They're not even like, let's save Raven. They're like, this will fucking work. People are going to watch it. It's going to make me more famous. It's like, you have to remember that in all those times too. But it is really hard. And in the times that I've dealt with controversy, which isn't that many, I think my tactic has always been to not say anything at all, because every time I do, then it's just more eyes on it. But your experience in this thing, I think everyone was seeing. And I've had an experience like that with the song situation where that really blew up on TikTok. And there was definitely more opportunity for me to like probably say something. And at the time, stand up for the person I was dating. But then there's so many, it's complicated because I was also trying to respect her. So, and no one knows what those conversations were, and they never will, because that's not my place to talk about even now, right? But it's just like crazy because people will put words in your mouth. People will decide what they want to decide. But I think you guys should stand by what you did, obviously. Like you obviously thought that through. And also some of the memes were a little funny, right?
I don't go on the internet.
Good.
I wouldn't know. She has to bring it to me for me to see it. She brought me one. It was just us on the green screen. I'm like, oh, yep, there it goes.
Like in the schoolroom. That's the only one I've seen, actually.
I only saw one where someone like stitched and then just was like scared because you really stared down the barrel of the camera.
Yeah, Raven can be scary.
yeah,
That's not a joke. I mean,
But
like,
see, that's the other thing. Like, I don't bring that person out into the public a lot.
People
because
don't know that person.
People don't know me in that way. So some people, I did see a couple of comments like on my Insta here and there, but they were like, you're not scaring us. You're not this, you're not that. I'm like, that's because I don't give that to you. Raven Symoné had no reason to act like that.
Yeah.
Or who I am behind closed doors because we've never had the situation before. But I'm also a human.
Yeah.
And
You're
also
a fully actualized person.
Yeah.
You're
fully
not
actualized
just
person.
who
has
they
all
think
the
you are.
feels.
Yeah. I mean, I was intimidated, I must say. I was like, I would not say anything bad to Raven or her wife ever.
They don't know me. My friends know me, though. They know me in my hoodie. They know me.
Both of you in your hoodies.
Yeah, I wore it because
wore
we
it.
talked about it. Yeah,
She
I
wore
got
it for you. Hilarious.
Like, which hoodie am I gonna wear?
Yep.
Okay, should we talk about queerness?
Oh my god, yes!
Let's talk about it. Let's talk about like being gay in public because that is crazy. And also, you spent so much of your life being not out, right? And also I want to know about your story too, so we have to do both. But I don't like to necessarily be like, what's your coming out story? Because I feel like I do feel like a lot of
Sorry.
No, oh my god, no, because that makes sense. But my whole podcast is talking to gay people. So if every time I was like, let's do your coming out story, I feel like people would be like tired of it, and especially because my audience is skewing older, and I think a lot of people are like, I already came out. You know, that part is kind of like done, but I still do want to know, like, let's start with you. Like, what was your journey of just like self-acceptance and knowing you were gay?
Yeah, my journey was, it didn't have that much thought involved in it. It kind of just like naturally unfolded. I had a boyfriend at the age of 18, my first boyfriend in high school. And when we graduated, we stayed together. I started working and going to school. I didn't get into the colleges I wanted to go to. And I met this girl while I was working, and I was really, I should say woman. She was older than me. I was 19 and she was 32, and I was really drawn to her, and it felt different. It felt like I had to be close. I had to know her. And over my life, I had kind of what I called like infatuations with women, but they never felt sexual. It always felt like I just wanted to look like that woman, or I wanted to be friends with her, or I thought she was really beautiful and I wanted to kind of have the same energy. But this one felt different. And it really was like, oh, like our hands touched one day, and I was like, oh my God, electricity.
And she was a part of a culture that does not do
she was
gay.
Armenian.
Got it.
And had never been with a girl before or been attracted to a girl before that's what she said. Maybe she had been, but anyway, I wasn't scared of the feelings. I didn't try and hold back. I really have always been somebody who, when it comes to like who I have a crush on or who I love, I just am like, I'm going for this, because I think that I've always had this idea that is going to be my person. And like, even if my parents disliked it, or if I lost my friends, it wouldn't matter to me, because like, you're not my person. The person I'm with is my person. Like, we're going to do life together. So we just went for it. And it was difficult because she never told anyone about me. And that was painful, and that caused a lot of issues. And her boyfriend, she broke up with.
She had a boyfriend and you at the same time?
No, well, she broke up with him and he wouldn't let her go. And it was really, really difficult. And he was very invasive, and I guess he had like seen us together because he was kind of like stalking her.
Classic.
Yeah, it was pretty wild. So that was hard. That was a hard thing to navigate. But in terms of me, my mom basically just said to me, like, I know what's going on. And I was like, well, what's going on? She's like, you're having a lot of sleepovers. And I was like, and she's like, and you're an adult. Like, what are you doing? Like, I'm not stupid. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, that's who I'm dating. And then I went back and forth after we broke up. Like, I dated a few men after we broke up, and then a few girls, and then met Raven, and I was like, Raven is my person.
That's so cute. But your story sounds like much more casual. Like it
was.
kind of like you almost like fell out of the closet, you know? Right?
Not just,
No, she literally was like, oh my God,
it was
girls are pretty. It's like, yeah.
super casual.
Jealous.
Super
Yeah,
casual
so
and just
jealous.
but I think again, like it just wasn't something that I was like analyzing, or I was analyzing other things about myself. I was tormented over other things, and I think that again was just an avenue of my life where I was like blinders up going for it.
Yeah, totally. Okay, what about you?
Mine.
A little more complicated.
A little more complex. Kissed my first girl at probably 12.
Oh my gosh.
Maybe a little bit less. Maybe like 11. When's 6th grade?
Yeah, like
that
11,
age.
12.
Okay, yeah. That was
Also,
summer.
that's so great. I just like, it's crazy to me on top of everything, not to cut you off, but it's just crazy that you are famous. Like at 11 and 12. Like,
Oh, I was
just
like,
crazy. Like you already were, and you're so little. Okay, continue, please. Sorry.
it's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah, first girl kissed around 6th grade, into that middle school lifestyle. I was friends with, I hated every girl in school except for my 2 besties.
Mm-hmm.
And I was friends with all the guys. And all the girls would be like, hey, like, friends with the dudes. Like, so mad, so weird, such a weird little child. And sneaker game was on point, like
sure.
rollerblader, don't touch me. Then yeah, and then I would go to work, and
That's so weird. You're 11.
go to work, and always was just like saw beautiful women, but didn't think about it. Wasn't having any type of sexual feelings. Just was like, oh my God, you're really pretty.
Yeah.
There are your nipples. And then when I started dating, the first person I ever dated was a boy. That was, I could not get away from him. Emotionally, it was all, I was infatuated with this dude. We dated for 7 years.
Oh my gosh, wow.
From like age 17, 16 to 7 years later.
24.
He cheated on me. Good times. We're cool now. And every day I would tell him, I'm like, if we got married, you know I need a girlfriend. Like, he was like, oh my God, my girlfriend's so gay. I'm like, no, I am.
Seriously. Not joking.
I'm not joking. We can have both, right? You're cool with that.
Yeah.
You're a dude. You'll like that.
Yeah.
And that kept happening. And I dated multiple guys in there. But I always talked about girls with my friends. Like, it was never a question that I was not the person who would like open the door and help the girl out or do any of that with my friend circle. But as soon as Raven Symoné came on camera, it was like feminine, fish, do what I need to do. And then had some moments with all different kinds of people. And then the saddest part of it was I was dating this guy. He was super sweet. He was from Denmark. And I went up to him and I was like, I'm gay, bro. Like, I don't know if I can do this dual life anymore. He was like, but we're doing horrible accent. But we're so cool. I'm like, I love you, man. I really do. And he even said, well, it is weird because when you're out in public, you're super girly. When you get home, you're in a hoodie. And like, you're my dude. I'm like, yeah, dude. Like, sorry, bro. I like your clothes. You can leave them here. And then that's when it started. I didn't really tell my parents until later because we're not going to get into that. But the official outing was on Oprah.
Yeah, which is crazy.
Which was absolutely crazy. But I felt comfortable in the relationship that I was in. And I knew that that person had my back at that time. And I mean, even to this day, we're still, fine. But it was just, I felt supported no matter who hated me after that.
Totally.
That interview, I knew that I could go home and my partner was down for the cause.
Yeah.
And so then it just snowballed from there and I never went back.
Yeah, well, fuck yeah. It's also crazy because your like representation before that is like, when I think about it, it's like the Ellens of the world, really. The timing of what that could have meant for your career is like, you didn't have necessarily good representation in that it could be okay, right?
Very
so were
correct.
You scared?
I wasn't scared when I finally said something because I said it the day the government said that gay marriage is legal. And I was like, the government has my back.
Yeah, that's nice.
You know what I mean? Like, the government has my back. I'm good. I was actually out getting fried chicken that day up the street. So I was just like, the government's cool. Life is fine. But beforehand, yeah, which is why the other day we were at a party and this guy came up that I've known since I was 15. And he was the first, he was the first guy that I went up to and I was like, will you be my beard? He's like, what? I'm like, you know me, bro. I can't do these guy things anymore, but I have to be this way in public. Like, that was the actual conversation. Because I heard so many people in our industry had that back in the day. And so she met him.
I did.
Was he a good beard? Would you pick him?
He was
yeah,
cute.
totally. He's super cute and seemed very, like, down for whatever.
Yeah, he was down for the cause.
Well, it's also crazy the timing of like your fame, because now you've like gone through the trajectory of no social media to social media. I mean, we've all gone through that experience just as human beings of like what life was like without Instagram and TikTok and Snapchat and Twitter and everything. Like, I feel like it's such a different time for celebrity now because there is way less separation between the public and the private. Like, everyone kind of, most people are having to like share a lot more than they did maybe when in 2015 even, if you think about it. It's like crazy how much we're expected to like share almost, you know? And then, I mean, you guys are obviously choosing to share so much more because you have your podcasts and stuff too.
And still, I still keep the flag of I do not share a lot.
Yeah.
I really do not. And managers that have dropped me or, you know, tried to pick me up, it's like, you're gonna have to post more. I'm like, you're gonna have to shut up.
I mean, it's so crazy.
I'm not doing that.
Yeah, it's crazy to watch mainstream media try to figure out what to do with social media. I remember I'm kind of like an older YouTuber, like a more of an OG YouTuber, and I remember I took a meeting with CAA like in 2016 or something, and they were just like, so do you want to act? Like, would you direct? Would you do this? And I was just like, I mean, I'm doing this right now. And they did not have any fucking idea what to do with me. Then now you see it's like a completely flipped. And it's like, how do we make mainstream stars use social media?
Yeah.
Because you know why? Because it's so fucking cheap.
It's
cheap. Free. It's free.
And also, it's the quickest feedback you could get.
Totally. And I mean, it's awesome if you can utilize it in a good way, but it's also obviously so taxing for your mental health.
I use it for work mostly. I don't use it for private, and that's actually a kind of a conversation that Babes and I have a lot. Like, I'm going to be hosting Scrabble. And so we talked with the people of the production company and all of the brands there, and we're going to be using the social media to promote and share. Do you know what I mean? And then my wife and I will get in a discussion about how I'm not always I don't always post beautiful pictures of my wife and say how much I love you on the internet.
No, you don't.
But I do go home and say how much I love you and how beautiful you are outside of the car, inside of the car, at home or whatnot.
That's also just like, okay, so there are different personalities, and obviously you guys know that. But I am the type of personality, if I was in a relationship with somebody who was famous or not famous or whatever, I like those acts of public affirmation. Like, I am a romantic person. If I am in love with you, if I'm with you, I want to scream it from the rooftops. And there's a naive element to that, because when you are in a public dynamic, sometimes it taints it. Sometimes doing those things that were kind of just like normal to me and just acts of love, when they are seen by so many, like we were kind of saying earlier, they shift because they open themselves up to be scrutinized. And I also understand, like, it's been important to Raven to have the separation and to feel like this is just mine. Like, I've had to give so much of myself in so many different ways for such a long time. I want something that's separate, something that doesn't have to be shared with others. And I understand that, but it's an interesting thing to navigate, because then for me, it's also like, I'll look at certain things online and I can be just that like surfacey of a person at times, where I'm like, I'm looking at somebody write this like beautiful, like Tom Hanks, right? This gorgeous birthday tribute to Rita Wilson. And I'm like, I fucking want that too. Yeah. And then she's the only one I want it from, you know, she's so it is this like, it's very, sometimes. And you will. And sometimes you'll do it just when you do it unexpectedly. And that's the only time I want it, because I don't want it to ever be like, babes, I want you to post me. And then she because that feels, don't do that. But you'll do it randomly, and then it will feel lovely. And I have also had to just learn how to work with that part of myself. But we all do that in a relationship, because that's just part of like the negotiation in a relationship. You just have to.
I was never like that, you guys, in any of my relationships. None of my relationships I did that.
What I'm saying is that you have had experiences in a relationship where you would have to adjust something within yourself to suit what the other person needs. And I'm just saying.
And I did that with that, because I go back to what I said is in all the relationships that I've had in the past, I did not share it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ever.
At all. Really.
At all.
Yeah.
Like not even with my parents sometimes. It was always like just
private.
Me and mine, because of what she said of, I feel like if I share anything, it gets taken and exploited because I am who I am. Can somebody make money off of it?
Totally.
Like that's why, even when I paint, everyone's like, you should show it. You should show it. I'm like, no, it's mine.
Yeah.
It's mine. It feels kind of invasive when I do stuff like that.
And I think the thing though too is like, and you'll understand this for sure, but it's like when a camera is up, and I remember Raven and I having this conversation where someone was like, oh, like, welcome to my show. It's a safe space. And Raven's like, there are 3 cameras up and an audience. This is not a safe space. And that is really true. Like when there is a camera up, like even right now, there's a part of my head that's listening to everything I'm saying that's going, careful how you just said that. Might be something you have to edit, because there's that tape running. And that's just... we're self-editing constantly,
totally,
even when we're trying to show up as our most authentic selves, because when you put yourself out there like this, you have that knowledge. And so it's like, we know that as a couple, that what we give on our podcast, what we share, it's real, it's authentic, it's us. You're seeing parts of our dynamic, but there is a hell of a lot that is not ever going to be on camera. There are conversations, trust me, you're not like in my mom's house with us in the kitchen playing games.
You'd love it though.
You wish you were.
You wish you were.
It's
the best part.
We're just being normal people, and
you're not allowed.
No, yeah,
you guys get
it. There's so much self-filtering going on, especially like I think even after you have one poor experience with the internet, then you're like, oh my God, it's anything. Mm-hmm. They'll take anything I said a little off and run with it. So then you're like, okay, try to be perfect. I remember I started this podcast. I started talking, made a new friend. And she was like, I watched your podcast. And then in real life, it's so crazy because you're so much, I thought you were going to be way more, I guess like almost like PC or something, like way more like, and she's like new to queerness. So she like wanted to ask questions, but she was like nervous to ask me questions because she thought I would be like, you can't really say it like that. I'm like, there is a reality, like there's a wall that I have to put up to make sure that I'm never offending people. But obviously in real life, there's a lot more room for real people. Don't talk like this. No. Like people talk much more freely and people make mistakes in real life constantly. You're talking constantly. But people in real life give you grace and they're like, oh, maybe don't say it like that, Joe. Just so you know, next time that might get you in trouble.
And the people that you're with will probably laugh with you.
Yeah.
And say the same thing and be like, we can't tell nobody.
Totally.
That's why I love her, because we are a mess.
Yeah, we have a lot of fun.
Honey.
Yeah, because we're real fucking people.
I think that's also why we were talking about this recently with my dad. David Letterman,
for a second I thought you were saying your dad is David Letterman. I was like, oh, you should have mentioned that.
David Letterman, my dad. No. David Letterman, when a bunch of people came forward saying that he had been inappropriate with them on his show, like so many women have come forward and so many men have then tried to either deny the claims of these women or deny their own behavior or say
or overtly apologize. Like, I'm so sorry.
Yeah. And it just becomes this weird thing. One of the things that when David Letterman was asked about it, he said, yes, I did have those relationships. And now looking back, I probably shouldn't have. But at that time I was like, in the heyday of my career and very powerful, and I did it. And I think it was very simple and very clean, and that's not a direct quote, but it was in that vein.
The energy that he had behind it was more authentic than anyone giving this, 7-minute Instagram apology or someone fully denying it. He's like, no, this is my life.
I'm sure that probably did it's probably exactly what they are saying.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And I think that's like when we were just talking about the difference between like real conversation or not real conversation, this isn't how people talk. There was something about that even though the subject itself was,
is so sensitive.
The fact that he just owned it and was like, yes, I did this. And yes, it was inappropriate, and moving on, like obviously work to be done. And see, even now it's like, I'm trying to be so careful of how I say this because it becomes such a sensitive thing. But my point is that just owning what we've done, like I've always said, if I mess up, I will be a person to say I messed up. And for whatever reason, I wasn't aware. I will. And I do, and you know that. You're the one who doesn't apologize.
Incorrect.
Okay, whatever. Anyway, I will. And now you're trying to make me look like I don't, and people are going to come for us for that.
You just said that I don't, and I just said incorrect. We both did it to each other.
Okay. Cool. But I'm just saying that if I mess up, I say I messed up. And if I think I know something, like a lot of times I'm like, oh, no, that for sure didn't happen. Then Raven will like show me the receipt, and I'm like, oh my God, it happened. I'm like, you were wrong. You were right, and I was wrong.
A Freudian slip.
Yeah. No, it's not a Freudian slip. She'll say, you know what? You were pretty. You weren't right. You weren't not right.
I own being wrong because that's what happens. Humans are wrong, but humans. Human error. People fuck up all the time.
They do, but there are different truths, though. That's another thing. It's like everyone's truth is different.
That's true.
You know, that's just what it is. So even though I'm showing you a receipt, doesn't mean that what your body accepted in that moment isn't the truth for you at that moment.
Totally. Or how you perceived things. Like we all are just living from our own point of view at all times, which 100%.
Is. But I am right.
But just to be clear, I am right.
Yeah, you're right and I'm wrong. Wait. I know.
Once again, huge shout out to the sponsor of today's episode, TomboyX. I'm going to go ahead and read a few more of the reviews y'all have left on their products, starting with a 5-star. 2 full butt cheeks worth of fabric included. This is my favorite style. They are really comfortable and not snug fitting like most of the underwear on the market. They're breathable and they cover my butt cheeks completely, which is like winning the lottery with every other brand of underwear that wants to sell you half a cheek's worth of fabric and tell you it's your size. Jesse, something tells me we have very different problems because I have a tiny booty, but testament to TomboyX because the underwear fit me too. So no matter the size of the booty, TomboyX has you covered. Another 5-star review, Grandma Boxers. I love this. This grandma is so glad for the 9-inch boxers. I don't want to wear granny panties, LOL. The underwear is comfortable and well made. I especially love the black ones. That's from Joan. Okay, so TomboyX is also grandma approved. Okay, the last review, I'm pretty sure TomboyX is pranking me because it says 1 star, not helpful. I've been trying to get some of Shannon Beveridge's returned underwear, but the customer service agent at TomboyX told me that was unacceptable. Whatever, they're definitely pulling one over on me. I'm not returning any of their products, so that alone lets you know that this is not real. If you want to get your hands on some brand new, amazing TomboyX products, you can go to tomboyx.com and you can use my code Shannon at checkout to get 20% off. And during Pride Month, you can get 21% off. Don't say I never did anything for you. Did you guys enjoy this experience?
Yeah.
Your bed is so comfortable.
Oh my God, I feel bad. You were moving around. I'm like,
I know. She only hit her head 5 times.
I know. I'm going to hear it.
No.
It's going to be like bonk and bonk.
It's okay. We have your stomach and you have my hard head.
Oh my God. Perfect. Yeah. Shit. We both have to edit things out. Okay. Well, I would love you guys to come back sometime too, so we can get even more into queerness because I feel like we just scratched the surface. Yeah. There's so much more.
And we're neighbors. Come back to us.
We're neighbors.
Yeah.
I think that maybe the next time we meet each other, we turn off the safe space.
Oh my God. Can we hang
and make
out?
it a very unsafe space.
Let's get crazy.
Let's get crazy.
Okay.
I think it's also worth letting your people know that you are going to be on our podcast tomorrow.
Oh my God. I'll be on their podcast. Well, tomorrow. So it'll be Thursday.
Yeah. Meaning like when they're listening to this, when it drops on Wednesday, tomorrow.
I'll be on your podcast.
Right. But if you're listening to this at another time,
go over to our
on
channel.
it.
She's already on
I'm
it.
already there.
Yeah.
And I'll have the links in the bio to their podcast and all their socials and everything they're up to. And yeah, sorry, next time you won't get to see us talk to each other. We're going to have that conversation alone.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. Okay, follow them on everything. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a good day.